same thing that happens to everything else.
When her eyes turn white, you know a storm is brewing. Ororo Munroe, aka Storm, is one of the most potent Omega-class mutants in the X-Men universe. And when it comes to classic Marvel backstories, Ororo's story will keep you rooted to your seats. From being a tribal goddess, to marrying T'Challa, to leading the X-Men, Storm's arc is a formidable one. But there is more to her mutant abilities than just hurricanes and lightning. And in this video, we will explore Storm's backstory and hidden traits in her mutation that add to her powers, making her a mutant to watch out for. Now, before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin. Who is Storm, and what are her mutant abilities? Ororo was born to David Munro, an American photojournalist, and his wife, Nader, a Kenyan tribal princess. Soon after her birth, her parents moved to Cairo, Egypt, with Ororo in tow. But tragedy struck when Ororo was just 5. A plane lost control and collided with their home. Ororo was caught alive in the rubble with her deceased parents, leading to her claustrophobia. She was later taken in by a street gang led by Ahmed El-Jabbar, where she trained to become a thief. This was before her powers manifested, so Ororo was utterly unaware of what she was capable of. But Professor X knew. When in Cairo, Ororo tried to pick Professor X's pocket. Of course, the professor caught her red-handed, and when he read her mind, he knew instantly that Ororo was a mutant. Yet, the professor didn't disclose anything, allowing her to find her own path. At 12, Ororo decided to travel away from Cairo. She was hitchhiking her way to the south, but wasn't careful enough because one stranger tried to take advantage of her. Ororo killed the man in self-defense and was so traumatized by it that she vowed to never murder a soul again. By the time Ororo reached her ancestral land, her powers had manifested. However, she didn't know it was mutation. The village elderly lady, Ainit, helped Ororo regulate her powers and use them for the good of the people. Her tribe began to consider her a goddess and worshipped her. Ororo fought many battles and soon came into contact with the X-Men. Professor X recruited her and explained that she was a mutant and not a manifestation of a goddess, as she was led to believe. Ororo took the name Storm and joined the X-Men. Storm's mutation allowed her to manipulate weather and the atmosphere to conjure a storm, even when the skies are clear. Every weather forecaster stands to be proven wrong when it comes to Storm. Supported by the Earth's electromagnetic field, Storm's connection with weather is psionic, where she can regulate humidity, temperature, and also moisture, that too on a molecular level. She has a really cool trick up her sleeve when it comes to breathing underwater. Storm can perform electrolysis, separating the oxygen and hydrogen atoms, allowing her to breathe when submerged in water. She has the power to manipulate atmospheric pressure, causing lightning, thundering, tornadoes, blizzards, and more to disengage her enemies. Storm's mutation adorns her with extraordinary powers. She can cause snowfall in the desert and raise the temperatures in the Arctic. If Storm existed in real life, she could single-handedly help us sail through global warming. Storm can also shoot electric blasts from her body while making whirlwinds go in any direction she pleases. She can freeze things, make it rain acid, and create toxic or regular fogs to the level of zero visibility. Perhaps coolest of all is that she can manipulate wind to make herself fly and lift others as well. Remember how she lifted Wolverine in the first X-Men movie using Jean's ability to stabilize him? Storm is also able to resist telepathic powers, including Dracula's hypnosis, with her will. It's an ability she developed over time after joining the X-Men. I guess when it comes to training under Professor X, one has to learn this ability. But did you know that Storm can even manipulate the air in your lungs? And not only that, but she can also control ear pressures, causing intense pain or relieving pain in others. And Storm's skills extend beyond her mutant abilities. She's exceptionally skilled in thievery. From picking locks to breaking into advanced security systems, Storm is adept in all, including escaping challenging situations. She is proficient in hand-to-hand combats, having learned from Ahmed Al-Jabbar. and the Black Panther when she spent her youth in Wakanda. Even Wolverine and Yukio have given Storm a fair share of training. She is also competent with handguns, various firearms, knives, the bow staff, and swords. Storm is also an expert strategist with leadership abilities, and she can pilot advanced aircraft, including Wakandan ships and the Blackbird. Storm is undoubtedly a complete package when it comes to superheroes, but her powers extend far beyond. So let's take a closer look at some of this character's unique abilities. What is Storm's EarthLink ability? The world is a web of intricate dynamics, and Storm's EarthLink ability allows her to connect with nature on a deeper emotional level. So while she manipulates weather psionically, her powers are also influenced by her emotions, which are both her strength and her weakness. We'll discuss why it's a weakness a little later, but for now, let's look at how it gives her strength. Storm's extraordinary abilities allow her to sense and detect life forces. She's connected to Earth's biosphere and draws from it her spiritual and material fulfillment. So the slightest change in atmospheric movements or phenomena trigger her senses. She was able to identify a dying tree in the massive grounds of the Xavier Mansion, sensed a snowball being hurtled from a distance, and from a distance of over 1,000 miles, she took notice of the blackbird slashing through the atmosphere. She knows when an earthquake is about to hit, or when a hurricane is changing directions, even if it's in a very remote location. She can also sense changes in the gravitational forces of the sun and moon and its tidal implications. Any changes in the magnetic fields of a planet can be easily detected by Storm. Storm is attuned to the movements that often go unnoticed by others. From a rustle of the breeze or the gentle ripple of a water's surface, she detects the tiniest signals in any medium of air and water. But more than that, she can tap into something more significant, the core of creation itself. Yes, Storm claims that there are times when she can sense the core of creation, which she believes exists in its sacred form within all things, surpassing reality. Can Storm derive powers from people's faith in her? Godhead was a gift that was passed on to Storm by her ancestors. Now, because of this power, Black Panther considered Storm a higher power or deity in comparison to adversary. So how does it help Storm? Storm garnered more power from the faith of those who believed in her. Her strength grew exponentially with each person who believed in her and offered prayers. People's faith in her was like a supercharger for her abilities. The people of Wakanda worshipped Storm, helping her absorb more power and rise her to godhood or goddess position. She proved she was superior to adversary, aka Sifako, the twice risen god, by disintegrating an otherworldly storm brought forth by him. With faith giving her powers, she could invoke one of Earth's elder deities, Ushtar, a powerful goddess. Storm was given the name of Hadari Yao, a goddess who could uphold the delicate balance between nature and everything around it. Storm's power is fueled by her followers' faith, making her an awe-inspiring goddess, a guardian and a protector of all. Are Storm's abilities magical in nature? Storm comes from a maternal lineage of African priestesses who possess magic and witchcraft. Her ancestry is why Storm has white hair and blue eyes. Storm is said to have links to the real-world Rain Queens of Balobedu, and her ancestor Aisha, the Sorcerer Supreme, also hails from the same region. Now, Storm's magical abilities aren't quite explored to their full capacity, yet they have received a few mentions. When Sauron, the life-draining villain, tried to drain Storm, he was stunned by the massive surge of life force from within her body. This vital energy could be traced back to her magical ancestry. In another instance, when the new mutants visited a potential future, Storm unveiled that in the event of her weakening powers, she turned to mystic arts and became a channel during powerful rituals performed by other sorcerers, including Magic and Doctor Strange. The tarot acknowledges Storm as the High Priestess, sharing the card equally with Scarlet Witch and Agatha Harkness. Storm has exhibited her magical talent in alternate universes, with one Storm becoming a sorceress who taught sorcery to Magic. Storm's tremendous power enabled her to become the host of Eternity's consciousness, which wasn't an easy feat to achieve. In fact, Doctor Strange and Storm were the only two considered able to do so, and this is in a gathering including Doctor Strange, Black Panther, the Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, and herself. Storm has once even harnessed the magical powers of witches and wizards to create a lightning-based portal, enabling her to teleport herself and others across different realms. Another power that we think could be due to the magic in her biology. So clearly, Storm's alias as the Weather Witch isn't just for her mutant abilities, but also down to her magical prowess. Do her mutant abilities work in space? Now, we know that Storm has a solid bond with Earth and its natural elements, but she's equally powerful out in space. From diverse planets to space vacuums to astral planes, Storm can travel across the universe using her powers formidably. Moreover, when she's in outer space, she can control things like interstellar and intergalactic energies. Storm is so powerful that she once mobilized the colossal power of a complete galactic core containing millions of suns and planets to cleanse herself of a brood infection. This was a cakewalk for her. She has manipulated primal cosmic forces, generating lightning while healing in the Akanti. She can gather hydrogen atoms to create an atmosphere around others, as she did with the Silver Surfer. Now, the change in environment can affect her powers to a minimum extent, but overall, she is still strong enough to conjure a weather phenomenon. Even in confined spaces, she can summon a great storm or strike down lightning in an underground facility. And among her many nifty tricks, Storm can also create personalized rain clouds to water her beloved plants. Is Storm capable of surviving extreme temperatures? Storm is the ultimate weather hero with the extended ability to thrive in the harshest conditions. From bone-chilling cold to skin-burning sun, she handles it all like a pro. Storm's mutation gives her the incredible powers to resist extreme temperatures, making her Iceman's perfect teammate. And as seen in the X-Men 2 movie, the Nightcrawler dropped to his knees when Storm changed the weather inside the Cerebro replica. Clearly not the best partner for Storm. Storm can regulate her body temperature, increasing or decreasing it as per the situation. This allows her to withstand a powerful blizzard, conjured by herself of course. She does not freeze in sub-zero degrees, and her eyes and ears are unharmed by the powerful lightning she strikes on her enemies. In the icy Antarctic, she tried taming the raging blizzards, pushing her own limits to the brink. She created intense heat, which overwhelmed her own system. With such unprecedented endurance and weather-manipulating abilities, Storm can take on any climactic condition and gain the upper hand. What are some of her other major powers? Storm is known for using her powers in other dimensions and realms, as in the case of the Trion dimension, where she defeated the corrupted Trion by latching onto the elemental powers of that realm. She also used those powers to stitch and heal the tear in space and time created by Juggernaut, who was possessed. Storm's powers surpassed even her own expectations in that adventure. Moreover, Storm can cause and control cosmic storms, electromagnetic energies, ocean currents, and solar wind. She can manipulate every energy that is thermal, electromagnetic, and kinetic separately by viewing the entire universe in the form of energy. So when her eyes go all white, she simply has to blink to see an alternate view. She can also see the human body in this manner and can see in the dark. Now, this may not seem like a major power, but Storm also possesses a green thumb. Her supernatural abilities make her an excellent gardener, tending to her own botanical gardens at the Xavier Mansion. Seems like Storm has a never-ending list of powers. Exploring the transformation of Storm over the years. Storm's hairstyle is not the only thing that has changed throughout her MCU journey. She has seen growth on a physical and an emotional plane. From being orphaned at 5, Storm learned survival at an early age, developing thieving abilities. When she heard a calling at 12, she headed on her own to seek her ancestral land. When her powers manifested before she met Ainet, she used her powers to return to T'Challa's favour and save him from his kidnappers. Under Professor X's guidance, Storm trained to use her powers to their full potential. She even adopted the modern ways of life, changing from the traditional lifestyle she had followed back in Africa. But she is so much more than her mutation. Storm has willpower and grit that keeps her going even in the most challenging situations. When Forge stripped her of her mutant abilities, Storm stood against all odds, using her combat skills and resilience to navigate life without those powers. And when her abilities returned, she emerged even more challenging. Storm's physical transformation took an unexpected turn when she fell into the clutches of a notorious scientist named Nanny. Nanny intended to use Storm's powers for a twisted agenda. She wanted to liberate children with superpowers by making them orphans. These crazy thoughts led Nanny to use some high-tech devices to de-age Storm and send her back into her teenage years. The gadget also wiped out Storm's memories, sending her back to a life of thievery, unaware of her heroic past. But Storm's strong spirit helped her fight back against Nanny and overloaded the device, breaking free from Nanny's control. However, Storm remained a child with no memories. It was only when the X-Men were captured in Genosha when Storm was restored to her adult self with complete memories by the rebel members of Genosha. And it may interest you to know that it is imperative for Storm to suppress her emotions, something she has learned to do over a period of time. Keep watching to find out why that is. Could Storm have kids? T'Challa and Storm shared chemistry from their youth. However, owing to their responsibilities, the two parted ways. They finally got together after the M-Day events and tied the knot, crowning Storm as the Queen of Wakanda. Marvel then explored the possibilities of these superheroes having offspring, adding to the multi-dimensional heroism and excitement in the Marvel Universe. In one reality depicted in The Exiles Volume 2, they had a son named T'Challa II, aka Panther. Unlike the serious demeanour of his father, T'Challa II was more adapted to pop culture. Nevertheless, when the time came, he proved his worth, a young hero with a modern twist. T'Challa II also had a sister, Shuri, who became another legendary panther with varied abilities. The Black to the Future dimensions explored Storm and T'Challa ruling the world hand in hand, while their mutant children played equally potent roles to rise to fame. Their older son, T'Chaka, married Danielle Cage, while the younger one, Tawari, tied the knot with one of Namor's daughters. The Battle of the Atom crossover series introduced another offspring of T'Challa and Storm, Chimera, who was considered one of the most powerful descendants of the power couple. Chimera didn't quite get the best of both worlds, though. She imbibed more of her father's genetics than her mother's. She had super tracking abilities and a huge panther for a sidekick. Among all of Storm's children, Chimera was the most explored across the core Marvel Universe version of Storm. She even became a part of the X-Men, although that stint didn't last very long before she went on her own separate way. Azari T'Challa, the son of Black Panther and Storm, was introduced in the next Avengers and was also featured in the animated series Young Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow. When Ultron kills all the adult superheroes, including T'Challa and Storm, their children take up the reins of the world, and Azari T'Challa is among them. The heart-shaped herb that enhanced Black Panther's physiology was passed on to Azari from his father. From his mother, he inherited electrokinesis, and thus he used electricity to attack people with energy blasts, or even defend people by creating an effective force field. Now, none of Storm's children are Omega-level mutants like herself, yet they have a distinct set of skills and unique valor. These children could further the connection between Wakanda and the X-Men, and so create a new range of exciting possibilities. How can Storm be weakened? Storm's weaknesses may surprise you, but even a powerful weather wielder like herself has her limits. Storm's emotions are her weakness, or rather, they could destroy the world. Her emotions have a strong connection with her mutation. That means if her emotions go unchecked, it could have catastrophic consequences. This is why when Wolverine died, the X-Men had to send her to outer space for fear that her grief would lead to igniting the atmosphere of the planet. When her outburst occurred in space, it unleashed a mighty geomagnetic storm, creating auroras around the globe for hours. so if you want to stay safe, don't make Storm cry. Another of Storm's major weaknesses, arising from her childhood trauma, is claustrophobia. Storm's claustrophobia had put the X-Men in grave danger once in Cassidy Keep, during their dangerous confrontation with the Juggernaut and Black Tom Cassidy. The team was trapped in Cassidy Keep's ancient cellars, triggering Storm's fear. While the X-Men struggled to fight their opponents, Storm was left paralysed. She helplessly cried, watching each of her teammates collapse. Only when Juggernaut unwittingly created a hole in the wall was Storm then able to breathe again and unleash hell on her enemies while saving all the other X-Men. Although Storm's powers are formidable, her physical body often tends to suffer, limiting her overall strength. When it comes to overcoming large-scale phenomena, for instance, the snow blizzard that took over Canada, Storm can be pushed to the brink of exhaustion, endangering her own well-being. Now, Storm respects the natural balance of the planet's biosphere. Why is this a weakness? Because it limits her to use only those resources to manipulate weather that are within the bounds of natural occurrence. For instance, she will consider her options before causing rain in an area affected by drought, so as not to deplete the moisture from the nearby locations. Unlike Thor, whose magical abilities allow him to alter weather without upsetting natural patterns, Storm works within the constraints of the planet's natural climate. Nonetheless, when the occasion calls for it, Storm ups her game to create weather phenomena that defies Earth norms. One such event was the Jovian atmospheric pressure, where Storm conjured a tornado so massive that it reached the planet's upper atmosphere. In another instance, Storm superheated plasma to save the day. Storm's abilities are said to be infinite or incalculable, even with her minor limitations. She is undoubtedly an iconic character in the X-Men universe and has exhibited tremendous resilience, growth, and power. And in her own right, she is also a goddess. Can we maybe dub her the Goddess of Lightning? Let us know in the comments what you think of Storm's incredibleness and which of her powers you like the most.